I want to talk about real estate and a number of issues in Nigeria's real estate sector. One, the benchmark interest rate monetary policy committee, that's the MPR, rather, monetary policy rate, not jiving with interest rates with respect to mortgages in the country. Also the supply-demand dynamic with empty buildings and that not affecting prices, and also the costs of building materials, rising costs, and how it impacts Nigeria's housing deficit and affordable housing plan. We have, of course, with us in the studio, Mr. Wale Ayilara, the CEO of Landwey Investment Limited. You're very welcome, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Welcome.
Great to have
you very much for having me.
So, when we think about mortgages, what's your take on Nigeria's mortgage industry? Because look at what's happening in the United States, for example, right? Okay. When the Federal Reserve hikes the benchmark interest rate over in the United States, or even in the UK, it affects mortgages, whether you have a fixed rate mortgage or a floating rate mortgage, right? Yeah. So actually, no, if you have a fixed rate mortgage, that's not affected. If you have a floating rate mortgage, that's going to be affected by the benchmark rates. Here in Nigeria, we don't have such things. So I want to kick off with that. For Nigerians who want the Nigerian dream of owning a home, why aren't we seeing any effect in that regard?
Well, several factors affect that. We all know that any monetary policy would affect lending rate, but for mortgage system, there's a lot of factors that has to do with. But first, to even start with, how many people can access this mortgage in the first place, and there are a lot of criteria that a lot of people cannot even meet up. And apart from the fact that they can do 10 to 15 years, and a lot of people might not be able to afford that rate of return, or that lending rate that they are asking for. Yeah. These are issues to put on the table. And how many people are well educated about, how many people have this information about the Nigerian mortgage system, right, and how functional is this system? And these are the critical issues that we've always looked into these problems every now and then, but it's as if we keep moving in circles and there's really no solutions to this problem. Because there can't be solution until the private and there is something they call PPP is in place, where the government and the private can work together and say, okay, this is where we're going, and the private and the public is ready to support the private and say, okay, let's work towards this problem together, because it has nothing to do with the private. The private is just like the businessman that I just want to do his own business, but the public is the one that would step in and say, okay, this is the amount of homes that we want to provide, and then we will do this upfront, and then so, but the problem is there, and there's a lot of things to do to be able to solve it. So
bottom line, the relationship is just, we're not seeing an impact.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We'll continue the conversation right after the break. Do stay tuned. We'll be right back with this discussion on mortgages and real estate. Welcome back to the Global Business Report on Rise News. We still have Mr. Wale Ayilara, CEO of Landwey Investment Limited. So thank you for sticking around with us. Okay, so the other quick point I wanted to touch on, the length of mortgages. What's the length? 12, 18 months in Nigeria?
No.
How does anyone pay anything off in that time?
That 12, 18 months that you're even talking about, it is offered by only private developers, not the mortgage system in itself. Private developers can do 18 to 12 months, but the mortgage system would maybe do 12 to 15 years. Okay. Yes, but how many people can really access this system? What the normal issue should be is you earn a decent income. You should be able to approach a mortgage company and say, okay, I have this income ratio and I want to buy a house. But how many people have job securities? And what they would ask you for, how many people can put this thing on the table? Right. It's a big problem.
Cement costs are up 35% year on year from March 2020 to March 2021. Steel up about 62-65%. And you just mentioned now that developers are offering, the 12 to 18 months they're offering is what developers are offering. How are you dealing with those costs, and what's the impact on the affordable housing mission of the country?
Yeah, this affordable housing that we keep talking about.
Yes.
It's almost impossible. Because when we're talking about affordable housing, let's even start with affordable locations. And how affordable are the building materials in itself? what is the percentage of the materials that are coming into the country, and how is FX affecting some of these finished materials? Even the ones that we're producing locally, who controls all the inflation that happens? What is the cost of these inflations? Because the private developer can really not control that. We can only control the things that are within our own control. But also, infrastructure. This affects affordable housing too. Right. Because you can't come up with affordable housing in a place that is not accessible in terms of road infrastructure, or where water has not been done, or where the light is bad. So all these factors put together, it's almost impossible for us to, as much as we want to tackle this problem and then provide affordable housing solutions, how many people want to even live outside the urban areas? And if they live outside the urban areas, Ikoyi, for instance, has a benchmark of price. You can't do affordable housing in a location like that.
Below a certain
now, if you want to
level.
go to Bagdagri and do affordable housing, how can they commute to their workplace in the urban areas? How these are critical areas that we need to look into when we're trying to solve the problem of affordable housing.
We only got about a minute ago. Empty homes and the oversupply of empty homes, and that not affecting the price. Prices don't seem to change. In a minute, if you can, how do you? Yes.
So these empty homes also has nothing to do with market inflation or how affordable are these places that are empty.
Right.
Also, people move based on different economical reasons. People move from these areas to new locations that they can afford.
Yeah.
So different reasons for why we have empty houses. In some areas we have empty houses, and in some areas there is a huge demand.
Right.
So it's not as a result of inflation in the market or that affects
other dynamics.
Yeah. So.
Wale Ayilara, CEO of Landwey Investment Limited. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.